And item 2.1, Bundy Canyon Resort Apartment Project. Does staff have a presentation?
I do, thank you. All right, Bundy Canyon Apartments. This project is located on the south side of Bundy, east of the I-15 around Tulip Lane. You can see the pretty little star there that kind of outlines a 28-acre site, 28.8 acre site, give or take. The applications before the commission tonight consists of 3. The environmental impact report. You'll be making a recommendation to the city council on that. Recommendation on the change of zone from rural residential to R3, and then a recommendation on the plot plan to construct 140 units. So as part of the CEQA process, we did do a draft EIR that was prepared for the project. Prior to that, we initiated the AB 52 consultation process. I think this will be the first staff report that you saw that discussion in the staff report. This was done about 1.5 years ago, almost 2 years ago now. It requires the city early on in the process to consult with the local Indian tribes. So we started that process. We had consultation meetings with Pechanga and Saboba, and as a result of that, we had agreement with the mitigation measures that are part of the EIR, and that's all in the public record. The EIR was prepared and circulated for its 45-day public review period from November 23rd to January 6th. 2017, we received 5 comment letters, 3 from agencies, 1 tribe comment from Pechanga, and then 1 citizen. The EIR identified 2 significant and unavoidable project-related impacts. As part of the final EIR, we have a statement of overriding considerations that the Commission will make a determination on tonight, and for that recommendation, along with the EIR resolution to the City Council. In accordance with CEQA, we prepared the final EIR document that was basically responding to each of the comments that were received, and that document was mailed to all the commenters 10 days prior to this hearing. So in terms of the EIR, we do have our consultant Ross Geller here from Applied Planning. If there's any questions related to that, he'll be happy to chime in. Otherwise, then the staff is recommending that the Commission adopt PC Resolution 2017-01, recommending City Council certification of the EIR, including a statement of overriding considerations and adoption of the mitigation monitoring and reporting program. The proposed change of zone is pretty straightforward. It's a change from the existing RR designation to R3 to accommodate the project. The R3 zoning is consistent with the general plan land use designation of MDR. This allows project densities between 2 to 5 units to the acre. If you recall, about 1 year or so ago, the applicant did go through the GPIP process. At the time, we were thinking that maybe a general plan amendment might be appropriate, but in reviewing the project and the densities, it was determined that the MDR designation did not need to be changed because the project is within that density range. The project, 140 units, will be applied to 28.8 acres, so the entire site will be rezoned to that. The project density has 4.8 units to the acre, and thus the project is consistent with the general plan. Again, staff is recommending that Commission adopt Resolution 2017-02, recommending council approval of the change of zone. This is an exhibit. You can see the existing designation is RR on the left there with that star. And then on the right side, we didn't have a colored exhibit, but the site that's in green there will be changed to the R3 designation on approval by the council. So in terms of the plot plan, there are 140 units. Of those units, 50 are townhome style units. Townhomes is an architectural term, not necessarily for sale because these are apartments, but the townhomes will be from floor to ceiling, a single unit. There's 50 of those. And then we have the 90, your typical apartments that are stacked in different buildings. The applicant is proposing a 3,700 square foot clubhouse and rec building. There's a pool complex area, a tot lot, fitness center, and leasing office. And when we get to the colored exhibits, I'll show you that. So the units range inside the townhomes range in size from 1,100 to 1,400 square feet. The apartments range from 674 to was that 934? Excuse me, goodness. So the project is being built on 11.7 acres. If you remember from the GPIP process, the applicant had indicated they were going to cluster the 140 units on this 11.7 acre pad, if you will, The reason to do that was to preserve the existing hillsides facing Bundy Canyon. So it'll be behind the ridge line. So the original project approved in the county had a R1 track map that pretty much obliterated the entire hillside, flattened it out for the most part, and was going to incorporate 70 single-family lots. As I mentioned, the density is 4.8 units to the acre. That falls within the 2.5 units per acre density range for the MDR designation. The site will preserve 16.5 acres as undeveloped open space. Design protects the current views and topography from Bundy Canyon. I have an exhibit for that. And then the applicant's engineer will be able to get up and give you the technical engineering details on that when they do their presentation. Related to the plot plan, the project is consistent with our 3 development standards in terms of setbacks and parking. We have a table in the staff report packet that shows all that. The plot plan is also consistent with the land use designation. It does implement various land use and housing element goals and policies. The architectural theme for the apartment project can be characterized as a prairie and craftsman style. I will give kudos to the applicant at this point. The original design came in was what staff felt is kind of very urban. And the applicant kind of took that into consideration, actually rehired a different architect, and then came back with a design that's in the packet tonight, which I think it fits well into our rural heritage. Based on those facts, the staff is recommending the council adopt Resolution 2017-03, recommending council approval of the plot plan subject to conditions. So this is the site plan. You can see that the units are proposed in a circular fashion. The rec areas are to the left of the site. The parking is on the interior in between buildings around the driveway. The fire department has looked at that. Access has all been met in terms of the width of the drive aisles. There'll be one road leading up from Bundy Canyon. That's circuitous road you see on the left side of the exhibit there, coming into the gated community. There's another road that leads out to the existing subdivision to the west, but that is a secondary emergency access only road. It will not be used at any time except a fire is up there and ambulance or fire truck needs to get up there. This is a landscape exhibit, so you can see the different landscaping along the main road coming up and within the project site itself. This is a townhouse building elevation. You can see the different craftsman style architecture, the muted colors, the light brown that kind of blends in with the hillsides are green now, but normally during the summer they're brown, but I think that color fits in well with the community. The apartment buildings are similar but slightly different. You can see the different balconies and the use of stone and veneer. This is the recreation clubhouse elevations that were provided with the project. You can see that these are extensive architectural elevations, and they're not your basic clubhouse that's just made out of stucco and has a few windows on it. There's a lot of architectural detail on these buildings. And this is kind of an illustrative perspective from the front circle area of the recreation and clubhouse. To the left in the background you can see the pools and the umbrellas. This is a line of sight exhibit that was provided in the staff report. This is where I think I'll have the applicant explain more, but basically the blue boxes in the middle are the units, if you will, for this project. The red arrow line is the line of sight, and then the black line, and especially in the middle, you can see the line kind of dips down. That's the existing view from Bundy Canyon looking up. So the majority of the hillside there in the front will be preserved in place. A little bit behind it will be leveled off, obviously, for the pad, for the units. The shaded areas are the current mountain hillside. So in reviewing this project, staff was really happy with the design. I think we came out with a good product that we could recommend approval on tonight to the commission. One area that we had an impasse on was the carport elevations. The applicant proposed a carport design that includes a flat roof style. You saw that in the staff report. I have an exhibit here in a sec. About 15 carport structures Staff wanted a slope tile roof element consistent with other apartment and townhome projects that the Commission and Council approved the last 2-3 years. We felt that that design with the slope roofs would match the Baxter Village, Grove Park, Villa Sienna projects that you reviewed a while back. As a result of the impasse, staff did propose a condition that's in your packet requiring slope tile roofs. That's planning condition number 47. Between the writing of the staff report and the hearing tonight, staff and the applicant have discussed this issue and come up with an alternative I think will please both parties. Real quick, this is the original design that they had. It's just a flat roof with the posts in the back hanging over the parking area. And then these are the slope tile elements that you approved for Baxter Village and Villa Sienna. So the compromise is that the applicant has suggested to staff if solar panels were to be placed on these roofs, would we accept the flat roof styles? And we said, sure. My one question was how are we going to enforce that and what was the timing on it? The other option, or not option, but the other concern was if the panels aren't feasible, you can't construct them, you know, what are we going to do? So we came up with a revised planning condition. I will pass that out now. If you would just pass that down there, Stan. And as part of the recommendation motion, we'll need to read this language, revised condition number 47, into the record. A copy of this language has been given to the applicant, and they agreed to it. Basically, it just has two options. To show a carport design that incorporates the use of solar panels. If the design shall be incorporated in a construction document as part of the city's bond check process. If it's determined that the panels are not feasible, then the applicant has agreed to show the revised carport design that shows the slope tile roofing. So they've agreed to that condition. I think that's a good compromise. Obviously, the solar panels would be good to use to electrify the pool area and anything else on the site. So I think that was a good solution to that one little issue. Fiscal impacts, obviously the project will pay development impact fees and regional fees to the tune of about $2.3 million. And the project is conditioned to be annexed into the city's wide CFD, which will negate any fiscal impacts to the city's general fund. So our recommendations tonight, as I mentioned, are to adopt the resolutions that certify the EIR, approve a change of zone from RR to R3, and approving the plot plan subject to conditions with the added language that I just passed out for revised condition number 47. With that, I'll conclude my comments and answer any questions the Commission has.
Do we know what the solar will be used for? Will it be used for just the common area, or will it also be used
I'll let the
for...
applicant, I do not know yet.
Any other questions of staff? Commissioner?
Is the EIR report, is the conditions that you mentioned at the beginning, has that been adopted in? The conditions for traffic and
Yes,
environmental?
yeah, all the mitigation measures are in the mitigation monitoring reporting program. They're also in the plot plan conditions of approval matrix.
So that'll all be part of the conditions?
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Well then, if there are no questions, I'll open the public hearing and the applicant can come forward.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Larry Markham, 41635, Interbuster, which is actually representing the applicant. And first of all, I'd like to thank Mr. Bassey and Mr. York for working with us over the last several months to get here tonight. And I appreciate Mr. Bassey's comments on the revised architecture. We think it's a substantial improvement over where we started out with the initial submittal under project. And KTGY, who is our architect who are here tonight, did a great job in meeting the vision I think that the city was looking for. We don't have a formal presentation. I think Matt's done a great job with his PowerPoint, and we don't want to go through and duplicate things. So just one thing I would like to say with regard to the site itself, and sort of the concept from day one, which was to have a clustered project and basically minimize the impact of the site as opposed to the old track map, which basically took out the entire site when it was approved back about 15 years ago. We have worked very hard to minimize or eliminate any impacts to the stream bed along Bundy Canyon Road between our biologist and Mr. Beckman, who's our civil engineer. We found a location that we can basically weave the bridge across and not trigger the need for any Army Corps, Cal Fish and Wildlife, or water quality permits. Additionally, we are going to implement probably a railroad car type drop-in-place bridge for the construction access, so we again don't have to impact that area. We did have some minor areas in the south end of the site, which we, with the second design, were successful in redesigning. So again, we do not have any need for any Army Corps, Cal Fish and Wildlife, or water quality permits, which was not easy to do, but we have, the consultant team did a great job of coming up with a solution to all that. So as part of that, as you'll notice, we have 17 acres of open space. And also, I think it should be noted that in the sections, I think are probably the best exhibit, but we are typically about anywhere from 300 to 600 feet away from any existing residence that surrounds us. And as you can see from the sections, the top section is looking to the west to the existing subdivision where we take our emergency access. Again, that's about 540, 560 feet, depending on which house. I think there's about 5 houses that back up to us. And again, they literally will see only probably the second floor of the structures. Again, looking from the east, and east is a vacant parcel, which did also had a track map on it one time. Again, we're not visible. Looking from the south, which is our closest neighbor, there's one house, and they will see probably the upper floor of the closest unit. From Bundy Canyon, you will not see the project. As you can see on the right-hand section, on the middle right-hand section. And again, very similar on the south, the bottom section. And that was a major goal of the project, to try to basically make itself invisible and weave the project through the oak trees. We're not taking on any oak trees, and we are preserving all the oak trees that are down there in the drainage course. So we try to make this a very minimal impact project to the site, and I think we've accomplished that. So we're here. We have our architect, Mr. Lavis and Mr. Stockler here from KTGY. We have Ben Stedonato, our landscape architect, Grant Beckman, our civil engineer is here, and Mr. Darley, the developer. So we're here to answer any questions that the commission may have.
Thank you.
Oh, one quick question. Do we have anything other than the one slide on the landscaping?
Do we have a second sheet, Vince, or is that just the one sheet, one colored sheet?
Yeah, my plan shows.
We can have Mr. Stedonato come up and address you if you'd like.
Okay.
Vince, why don't you come?
Vince Stedonato, Alhambra, you want my address, 41635. Okay. Actually, in the whole packet, this is just the overall. Then I've got 20 scale blow-ups of around the pool area, amenity areas that we have in there, like bocce courts, things like that. So there's, and then we show walls and fences and what that looks in my total package.
Okay.
So if you have the
I
whole
missed that
package,
section.
it's in there because.
Thank you.
So,
Hold on one second.
oh,
The 16.8 acres, is that what's like on the side here and around when you come up through there? Or are you landscaping that whole 16 acres, or is that what's in front of it?
Yeah, the 16.8 acres, if I'm correct, is, do you see the line that runs around where the trees start and stop in there? Anything that was graded is what we're planting. So that one area that you see there to the left, that's a slope that we have to plant. So we're planting anything that we grade that has to be sloped, and that's the same as you come up the driveway. Those areas have to be graded to get that road, driveway to work in there. So we're planting all of that. But basically all that area that you see that has nothing on it is what's there, like buckwheat, the native stuff, that kind of thing. And what we have to do on this project is, because it's in a fuel modification area for fires, we're providing at least a minimum 30 feet from any structure of planted, irrigated area, and then it goes to 100 feet where they'll clear and prune and take out anything that's going to be a fire problem. But the rest will remain exactly as it is out there, so we're not gonna touch it.
Do you know how many acres that is that's gonna remain untouched?
It must be 6, I think the whole is 22, and we're talking 16 that we landscaped, correct?
About 10, probably 10 native. And so let me say too, that the dark line around the colored area, that's the fuel mod area that's outside of the landscaped area.
That's
We'll have selective,
Zone B.
yeah, that'll have selective removals of anything that would be deemed to be a fire hazard, but it will remain in a natural state.
Yeah, I found the 5-page section. I've been through this. I was hoping there was something even more detailed, but
What do you have, 11 by 17 is there? Is that what you?
yeah, I got the L1 through 5 sheets.
Yeah, because these sheets are large, they're like 36, I believe.
Yeah, 36, 48.
So they're big sheets, so. Do we have any of them here?
Yeah, please.
I understand what you're saying, on those little sheets, they're kind of hard to see, but
Well, I was trying to look for something more than just a plan view, like a growth view, what it would look like up against the building.
no, everything's in plan. There are no elevations, besides the perspectives that we had done.
Right.
And those are, I hate to say it, are not, there's more trees shown on my plan than are what's shown on
It's
those.
more for the building.
Yeah, and that showed grass, there's no grass on the project, except for one area around our top lot. So this is all drip irrigated. Oh, by the way, it's native plant material too, because we want to keep it within, because we're close to areas that you're not allowed to have invasives, where the oak trees are and that kind of thing, so we basically just went with all native, like oaks and drought tolerant things like olive trees, and then plant material that is all very drought tolerant. And so 95% of the whole site is drip irrigated. So.
Thank you.
Here's full set sheets, here to see them.
Yeah, I can zoom in. Look for more elevation.
Any other questions right now? So do we have any speakers, Mr. Garcia?
I have none, Chair.
Nope, I think you've got.
We have one now.
And if there's anyone else in the audience that would like to speak, you're welcome to fill out a speaker slip and give it to Mr. Garcia.
Mr. Kenny Mays.
I'm curious about the fees. You said you're gonna pay 2.8 million in fees. How much of that is gonna be Measure Z parcel tax and the park infrastructure fee?
I don't have a breakdown of the park infrastructure fee, that's part of the overall DIP program, but this is an apartment project, so there's one lot, they'll pay $20.
28 bucks, okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mays. Mr. Garcia, are there any other speakers?
I have no more speakers.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And then any discussion?
This plan versus what we saw last April, to me, is definitely a completely different plan. The apartments before had walkways at each one of the levels going through. The house, the apartments went all the way through to where you had a front and a back. At the back of each one, you had patios at every level. These ones are more tenement style. You have one set of windows facing one direction, and you back to back to the next apartment behind you and alongside you. So the only place you have a window is the one face that you've got. The other three faces have no windows. And for people that are facing the parking areas, their entire view is, especially on the third floor, they're looking down onto this whatever deck we choose for the carport, and then the carport behind it, and then finally on the other side of the far driveway, another apartment that faces across the same thing. There's very minimal landscaping for those that are facing that area of all the parking on across. It's virtually from the face all the way across to another face. And if we do put solar on top of those, now at some point it's just going to be nothing but glare coming off of those mirrors into the different apartments at different times of day. So, plus the apartments have dropped in quality, my perspective. They went from having a nice concrete brush tile roof to asphalt tile. It was very popular in the 80s, but especially being up in the hills, I would think a concrete tile would be a safer, more fire-resistant thing than an asphalt roof, being up there in the hill. So these are definitely a total change in design, nothing like what we looked at last year. Question for Matt. Was it the applicant's idea to butt the apartments up together instead of being, having front and back to where you could actually have views from both ends and walk open? Or was it something we suggested?
No, I don't remember the commission seeing the actual architecture that was originally proposed. I don't recall if the GPIP process had maybe an idea of what it was. But no, what we were concerned about was the exterior architectural elevations. It was like something out of downtown Los Angeles.
Right.
So that's why we say go back, try to create something that will have that more rural flavor, and then KTGY came back with the design that you see tonight.
Yeah, the original packet from back in April definitely shows patios for every single apartment. Very nice. Very top quality, it was pretty awesome. And concrete tile on the roof.
I was gonna say, don't these all have patios facing out from there, and then they have the garage on one side? These are townhomes, so they would have windows front and back, and then...
And why don't we open up the public hearing, invite the architect to come up and explain that.
Yeah, the 90 apartments.
Open the public hearing.
Oh, yeah, let me reopen the public hearing, thank you.
Hi, Keith Lavis with KTGY Group. Do we have any plan as part of this?
Is the microphone on?
Is it better? So there's basically two, as you said, two building types here. One of the two-story townhomes, which have garages on the first floor on the back, living space, dining, kitchen, all opens up to the views off the front side, and then on the second floor you have bedrooms. They read through to the back, so they read clear through, as well as the units on the ends will have windows on the sides as well. So that's the three-story walk-up. So in this case, on this side, you've got 3 stories of stacked flats that live off of the open space. Each unit has their own private patio there, or deck, depending which level you're on. And then on the back side, each unit has a deck as well. I think maybe it's regarding the townhomes, because they're 2-story units, there's only a patio on the ground floor. Whereas I think the plan that came in last year to reviewed, those were stacked. I don't remember exactly because we didn't design those, but these do, every one of these, you can see here, every one of those has a patio outside the front door.
Right, but they also have windows in the back.
On the second floor, above, where the bedrooms go back over
Right.
above the garage, correct?
Right. And in the apartments, they don't. They're back to another apartment.
They all face one direction, so they're wider, whereas these are deeper.
Yeah, the townhomes are very similar to what they were before. It's just the apartments that went through the major change.
I don't remember exactly what the plans looked like before.
Similar.
Yeah, I don't know. Apologize, I don't know how different they were, but that's the apartment plan, the three-story stack plan. That's the type of plan that's built everywhere. It's very common market rate and luxury apartments. So there's that. As far as your comment about being a lower quality, I think it's very common. It's very acceptable pretty much everywhere.
Well, right, but the other ones were definitely much more high quality, and it was presented as a resort apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And that's currently what the name still has, but now it's more just a regular apartment. It definitely just changed in quality. Do we have the floor plan that we can put on the presentation, put up on the screen?
I do not. You should have that in your, on your iPads and the PDFs.
Got it.
Do we know why the tile roof changed?
Excuse me, if I may, my name is Richard Garling, I'm the developer. Commissioner Lloyd, I liked the first plan as well. This is a better plan. In many ways. The first plan, as you recall, we had an Italian architect, world famous. He designed an urban setting one. The cost turned out to be impossible. And it is not state-of-the-art what was done. What was done was popular about 30 years ago. It was not, it never had the support of Mr. Bassi and staff. This project, you could take a look at what it looks like by going over to the new Pacific Landing project at the corner of the 215 and Clinton Keith. That's a 320-unit project designed by the same architects, if I'm not mistaken. KTGY is perhaps the most preeminent multifamily architectural designer in the country today, among the elite, used by the biggest and best builders nationwide. I felt that if I was going to replace one good architect with another, that's the direction I would go. And in so doing, we actually got a village concept that kind of works in a way. There were a lot of technical problems, ADA stuff, that caused a lot of grief and a lot of expense and were unresolved at the time with the conceptuals. We've worked through all that, and we now have something that works. 16 small buildings spread out over the site. The 50 units of townhomes are pretty much what they were before, in the sense that 2 bedrooms upstairs and downstairs. They take advantage of the view. The grounds, we have walkways all around the surface. We have at least 6 stations of recreational activities or barbecue sitting areas. We tie into the trail system on the southern end. We have a lot of great views, north and west from the project. Whether or not you actually like the way the building looks is a highly subjective thing, Commissioner. And
I like the way the building looks.
you can't please everybody that way.
I like the way the building looks, that's not a problem.
Yeah.
My concern is all the residents that are going to be in the apartments that only face the driveways and the carports and the driveways, and then another apartment on the far side with very little landscaping in between, and now it's either going to be a solar panel across it, or I would prefer to just go back to shingles.
You know something? We'll go back to shingles.
And then,
I'm not tied into solar. We felt like we spent so much money on recreational facilities and stuff there that maybe we could buy this prepackaged carport system that you saw.
right,
But it becomes a custom installation if we do a pitched roof with a sloped, sort of gable-like affair. And I thought, well, maybe solar would get by. But the truth of the matter is whatever the commission wants to do, I'm okay with on that. I do feel like we've improved the amenities on this project. We have a terrific setup. If you ever go by the Pacific Landing one, it's similar, where you have offices, leasing area, you have a dining area, library type. So they, in a whole separate building for the fitness facility, much expanded over our original submission, I think April of last year or something like that. Far better now, far more expensive, and it does have a great pool outdoor area, cabanas and all the similar stuff out there. I think it's going to go over really well. And the proof of the pudding, and I don't mind plagiarizing from my competitors, Pacific Landing that opened, I think in January, they did 5 phases, 320 units. I visited it personally to play Renner to see what they were doing. And at that point, they were virtually sold out of the first 4 phases, and they were constructing the 5th. They were doing 20 units a month. That's how well the market accepted their product. I'm doing the same thing here, except we got a better setting. They're right next to a freeway on-ramp. You know, the off-ramp from northbound traffic on the 215, they're right there. But if you get on the site, you move the site over to Wildomar, up on top of a hill, overlooking the whole valley, and then when you actually get up there, ours do it very similar to that project. And I recommend it to you because it's what people want today, you know, and the proof of the pudding is they've gone like gangbusters.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
I like what the applicant has done. I like the cluster application with a lot of the open space.
I need to close the public hearing.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll close the public hearing. We're out of practice, it's been a while since we've had a meeting, so bear with us. Go ahead, Stan.
I was going to ask staff for their comments with regards to the review of this project that we are looking at tonight compared to the previous one. Architecturally, I like it. Where we have apartments that back up to one another, I don't have an issue without a window, but there has to be a window out of every bedroom. And so, granted, it may not be appealing if you're looking at another wall, but this concept of clustering and having a lot of open space, I think, is an excellent idea. You've got the recreational amenities set in the center. I'm pleased with the project myself.
Well, yeah, again, as I mentioned before, we were more concerned about the architectural design, which I feel is a better design than what was originally proposed. Projects have to have parking. Parking's in the middle, so you get the primary great views around the perimeter. It would not have made any site plan sense to put parking around the perimeter of the site when you want to be able to have apartments and whatnot look outside of the site. So they're all centrally located. I'm not sure there's any apartment design where someone's not looking at parking. If the ugliness, quote unquote, of the carports are an issue, then maybe we don't get carports at all. Just have open parking. But there's got to be parking. Because it gets hot in Wildomar, that's why we wanted the carports, and whether it has solar panels, they're designed such these days where, excuse me, they're not going to be glaring. I don't think they'll cause that kind of a problem. You know, they're not big like the old days where you took up an entire roof. So we haven't seen any design yet, but you know what we have approved for single-family homes and other projects, I think, you know, that will not be an issue.
Thank you, Mr. Massey. I think the fact that the applicant has taken the time and trouble to keep the project below the horizon, so to speak, blends in. I think it speaks well that basically you won't really see this development from down below for the most part. With regards to carport, I'm in favor of the carport because as Mr. Massey mentioned, California is hot. And the carports offer some type of protection. I also think that the solar is an excellent idea because after all, we're trying to go green, and the self-sustaining things like the windmills and the solar. So I think the solar is an excellent idea, and then that way the recreation facilities essentially have the electricity provided for them. And so I'm in favor of the project.
Thank you.
Mr. Bassi, do we know why the roof changed from the original?
I'll let the architect speak to that, but I think the comp shingle gives more of a rural aspect than tile. But I'll let the architect just say yay or nay.
Yay.
You say yay.
But
That is
it
not
has-
something we specifically requested, but that fits better into this architectural design than the tile, so it's,
Do we have a fire concern at all with the tile roof being more resistant to the fires in that area?
Nope.
Especially in the high fire.
fire
zone?
department has seen this project several times and issued conditions of approval, and they don't have a concern about that.
Any other comments by commissioners? Thoughts?
I will make a motion that the planning commission adopt PC resolution number 2017-01. And I think that we need to incorporate if,
That's the last
Well-
resolution.
Yeah,
Last
this is
resolution.
just the EIR.
all right. So my motion is that the planning commission adopt number 1 PC resolution number 2017-01.
And that's to recommend the certification of the environmental impact report. So I'll second that motion. We do a roll call vote.
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Lloyd,
Aye.
I'm sorry, I don't remember your last name.
Thomas.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Motion carries 5-0. I'm gonna have to get my sheet out. Oh, here it is, right here on the front. Got it. Okay. And then the next resolution will be a change of zone. Any motions?
I will make a motion that the planning commission adopt PC resolution number 2017-02, which is change of zone from RR to R3.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any comments? If not, we'll go to a roll call vote. Commissioner Smith,
Yes?
Commissioner Lloyd,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Strong,
Yes.
Commissioner Langworthy, yes, motion carries 5-0.
I will make a motion that the planning commission adopt PC resolution 2017-03 and incorporate the revised condition number 47.
I second.
Is that was there a comment?
I was asking the city attorney if we needed to read a word for that.
You can just refer to the attachment that was distributed.
It was revised condition number 47, which has to do with the applicant prior to the issuance of the first building permit to submit a substantial conformance application for review and approval.
Okay, so we had Commissioner Smith make a motion and Commissioner Strong second the motion. So we'll do a roll call vote. Commissioner Smith,
Aye?
Commissioner Lloyd,
No.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Commissioner Strong,
Aye.
Commissioner Langworthy, aye. Motion carries 4-1.
Not that I know made any difference, but it's one of those things.
That's okay.